What's up, guys, and thanks for joining me on another episode of Twisted Wrench Garage. This week we're actually working on Rambo again. My uncle's been driving this truck quite a bit. We've taken it to some shows, hit up Yukon's Cruising for a Cause. I didn't record or anything, but we did go out there, and I took Ramona with me. We hung out. I didn't record or anything, but it was a good time, good little turnout. But he noticed that he's got a huge power steering leak coming out of his steering box. And luckily enough, a good friend of mine actually hooked me up with an older steering box out of one of his rigs. If you guys remember the Ramcharger that we put, I think it was either a red top or a blue top in. Well, he gave me his old steering box. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It wasn't leaking or anything. So we're going to see about putting that steering box on old Rambo here. I went ahead and got the truck all jacked up in the air, and we removed this driver tire. We need to get the power steering lines pulled off of the gearbox itself. We need to punch out a roll pin. We might have to take down the steering column itself so we can pull it forward, because on these trucks there's a solid shaft on his. On that Ramcharger there was a Borgeson shaft, and that's got a slip yoke in it, so that made it a little bit easier and quicker to get it off. But we'll have to get to that. We'll have to see about getting the pitman arm taken off of the steering link, and then after that we should be able to unbolt the steering box and get it pulled off and start working on getting a new one pulled on. Those pitman arms can really be a pain in the butt to get off, so we're gonna have to go and get a puller for that. If not, we'll see if the parts house has a new pitman arm in stock, and maybe we'll just replace it altogether. Highly doubtful, but we're gonna try. So I guess there is nothing left to do but to get to work. So let's get in here and let's get to work. So I've got the wheel turned enough so this roll pin is down at the bottom and I can punch it out towards the frame. I went ahead and started it, trying to give you guys a good view of what I'm working on. And there it went. Did I lose it? There it is. So there's the roll pin that we need to pull out. Just simply use a punch and a hammer, knock that bad boy out. Now this should want to slip off, but I think, like I said, I think we're gonna have to drop his steering column a little bit. That way we can pull it away. You could possibly unhook it from the rag joint itself and may be able to get it off that way, but I doubt it. So let me put this roll pin somewhere where we can keep it safe, and then we're going to go ahead and work on getting these two lines pulled off, the high and low line up here. Alright, on these lines, right up here, I'm going to move you guys up a little bit. These lines here, you want to use a line wrench on these. I believe these are 11/16, but these have both been rounded off pretty darn good. So I'm having to use a, don't tell anybody, pair of vice grips to break them free. See if I can get this other one with you guys watching. Yeah, it came free relatively easy. So we'll get these unhooked. Might need to look into getting some new lines for this, because these are definitely not fitting properly. At least the wrench doesn't fit on them right, and that can be a real pain in the butt, because you really don't want to round these things off, because once you round them off, it's pretty impossible to get them off. Oh, that one's being a little more snug. Can't really get it out with my fingers so easy. Come on. But as you can tell, I got that one off, so I'm gonna get this other one off, and I'll bring you guys back when we start moving towards the next part. Alright, we got those two lines off. Just been fiddling with this joint here, and it seems like we should be able to get that off of there by just pulling off the rag joint right up in there. So I'm gonna work on getting that done. I was gonna show you guys where it was leaking from really badly. this lower seal here, when it's running, this thing just streams the power steering fluid out of it, meaning it's just dripping constantly right now, and it's just sitting here. So that's definitely the reason why we're here. So let me get you up top, and we'll see about getting that rag joint taken apart so we can keep this process going. With a 3/8 12-point wrench, you can get the bolts off of this rag joint on the side that's nearest the firewall. There's going to be 4 of them. You got one here and one on the bottom, but that's on the steering box side. We want to pull the side that's on the other side. They can kind of be a pain, but like I said, you want to make sure you're using a 12-point wrench, because you use a 6-sided wrench, it's going to strip this bolt out, and you really don't want that. So it's going to take a little time here and get these off of here. Got them both broke free. Then I can just, you know, take my sweet time getting them all backed out. And it should come apart. So rather than make you guys watch me pull these bolts out little by little, I'll bring the guys back when we're ready to pull this apart. Alright, I got both of those bolts out. I'm going to pull this up and over the column, because we're going to need to use some pry bars down on this end down here to pry it this way so we can get this steering shaft off. So let me move you guys down there and we'll get to prying this off real quick. Alright, with a pry bar we should be able to slowly pry this off of there. I'm gonna have to lift up on this steering shaft on the steering column side a little bit, see if we can get it to slide past it.
You want to hold it? I'll just use this big bar.
I might be able to get it. Just there we go. Just like that, we got our steering shaft off. So now, the next thing we need to work on is actually pulling this pitman arm off of this steering arm here itself. So we're gonna need to remove this cotter pin here and work on getting that pulled apart. Alright. Well, that's a hell of a cotter pin. Looks like they just split one in half and just used one side of it. Used to seeing them folded over and then shoved through. So let me figure out what size that bolt is and we'll start working on that. Definitely going to be replacing that cotter pin when we go to put it back together. At 7/8, should be able to break that free pretty easily. Oh, the puppies are losing it. Alright. Just going to set that to be about flush with the top, because we're going to need to use a pull or a like a pitman arm separator or ball joint separator on this. See if we can separate it. If not, with this being flush, we can hammer on the top of it and it should break it free. See if I can just get in there with this real quick. Not seeming like it's gonna come off easy. So, go to the puller. And boom. Just like that. The right tool, it'll come right apart. So, man, they are going crazy in there. So that should just pop right out of there now. So I think we're gonna have to undo the steering box to get that to come off of there easily, because of all the steering shafts and the tie rods and all that hooked up to it. It's keeping it lifted up. But 3 bolts, and we'll get that pulled off. Keep in mind, before I pulled that steering shaft off, we made sure the steering wheel was nice and straight, because we want it to be in its position that we're going to put the new one in, and then that way we're not having to worry about how many turns one way or the other way we are, and we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So let's get in there and get those pulled off. They're going to be 3 of them, and they're going to be on the inside of the frame, so it's going to be hard for me to get you guys in there to see those. Alright, these 3 bolts are the ones we're after. There's one there, one down lower, and then one there. And this is also a good time for you to inspect your frame right here, because some models, I think the newer ones, they have a brace that bolts behind it and then comes over to the front of here and bolts to this to help give that support. And that's one of the reasons why you don't really want to fully turn your steering wheel one way or the other, full lock on these, because it can crack the frame in between these bolts. So some might have cracked, some you can actually put a welded plate behind it and kind of help strengthen it up some. It's all up to you whether or not you want to do that. So let me get these bolts all the way out, and we'll start getting that pulled out. Oh, there's one more bolt. Alright, I told you wrong. There's actually 4. There's one more towards the firewall down low. This should pop right off now. That thing's heavy too. There we go. Alright, so we got the steering box off. Went ahead and I didn't have the right size tools, so I had to use a speed wrench on there, get this broke free. It was definitely quite a bit tight. I had to use a hammer to do the redneck impact wrench on it. But we got that pulled off. Went up and I actually bought the right size socket for it when we grabbed the puller. So my hope is that we can just put this puller on here, use the impact, and just pull it right off. But if you guys remember watching me do the one on that Ramcharger, it was a fight. We had to put heat on it, hit it with that, heat, hit it with that. So this thing's been leaking pretty good, so we will see if maybe that power steering fluid helped lube it up, make it a little easier to come off. We did check to see if we could find a Pitman arm, a new one. No luck. They don't even show a part number for anything. Every parts store you call, they ask, "You have a part number?" No, I'm calling you to ask you if you have what I need. I got the cup. I got the pups going. Looks like I'm gonna have to use a I don't know. It's gonna be a fight. Yeah. Give it some taps and we'll hit it again. I had a feeling this was going to be difficult because these are a tapered fit, so just going to have to sit here and go back and forth hitting it and then using the impact, see if we can get it to break free. It's just going to take some time. Hey! We're in business. That wasn't bad. That was a lot easier than that four-wheel drive model. That thing was a pain in the butt. So, not bad for 18 bucks. It did the job. I was really expecting a bigger pitman arm puller. I wasn't expecting to see this small one like this. First one they brought out to us was half the size of this. We ain't working on a little smart car. We're working on a old American truck here. So clean that up and we'll be able to take that back, get our $20 back. So yeah, it was leaking bad from that seal right there. Get something to clean that up. Just kind of inspect it, just kind of look at it. I mean, not going to do anything to it, but I mean, what's going to hurt for me looking at it? All right, spent a little time cleaning up this old pitman arm. It was pretty darn nasty. It took a few minutes to get that clean. Now, threw just a quick coat of black on it with some primer, just to make it look a little bit better. The pump itself, the gearbox itself, had already been scrubbed down and cleaned by my buddy that gave it to us. So I'm gonna use this new socket with my impact. And again, I guess I should probably tell you the part number on this thing, if you clean yours up, it does go up. And as long as your wheel's straight, it should go on the same direction as where the output is for, or the input is for the steering wheel. So if you're looking at it like that, because it bolts in like that, that's the direction it should go. I'll have to check on the book and see how much we're supposed to tighten that down. So that's pretty on there. So, but I think we're ready. We went ahead and grabbed new lines while we were out too. We'll go ahead and replace those. But that should be pretty good enough for us to go ahead and put it back in the truck. Start getting this put back together. Not too bad. Two-wheel drive over four-wheel drive. I think the two-wheel drive is way easier. That four-wheel drive one was a pain in the rump when it came to pulling that pitman arm. But other than that, it's been pretty easy. So let's get in there and let's get this put back together. Time for this new one to go in. Oh, probably gonna have to have another set of hands to get a bolt started while I'm getting this on there. Can you reach that one?
Try to do it right here.
You're almost there. Come to the right, towards the firewall. Towards the there. Now up just a hair.
I think it started.
Okay. All right. Whew. Okay. Holy moly's. All right, I've got all the 4 bolts on the steering box tightened up. Right now, what I'm trying to do is line up that pinhole with the slot on this shaft. And we'll get that put on there. That way, what I can do is then hook it back up top, and then use the steering wheel to be able to turn this a little bit. That way, this is going to be on top this time, That way I can drive the pin in from this side because we pushed it out through the back side before. Alright, now that we got that started, we should be able to come up here and start getting our steering shaft back together. Get that on our column. There's a little nut plate in there that kind of moves around. So you might have to get everything kind of lined up as it needs to be here. Go back to our 3/8 here. We need to go towards that side. See if we can get this going here. Definitely wish I had an 8-point or a 12-point 3/8 socket. I don't have any 12 points other than in wrenches. So this definitely takes some time just getting this all tightened up. Alright, I think I got it in a spot where I can tap this pin in. But I don't know if it... I think it needs to come back towards the firewall some. Whoops, I hit you guys. Nope. Well, I felt like I was pretty close to it. I saw a light through it. Alright, I'm going to go unlock the steering wheel so I can try to pull with this some more. I think I got it going here. I'll use a punch maybe, see if I can get it to go in further. Nope, that's opening it up. Be nice to get it to go in a little further though. Don't really have another punch that'll handle that very easily. Maybe if I put the punch backwards. That one ends up in the center and opens it up. Is that one bigger? Alright, that one is bigger. Let's try that one. That one's going into the center too. There we go. That's in there better. Yeah. That is better. Probably go a little bit further. You see it up there on that side?
Yeah.
Okay. We're good there. Alright. So now we can readjust our pieces here. We can go ahead and put our nut for our steering link here. Get that on. Then once we've got all this connected, then I'll try to torque this, the big bolt on the bottom of the gearbox down, or steering box down to 150 pounds, because that's as much as my torque wrench will go to. So let me get this snugged up here. Now I gotta line up that keyway. Where's that hole at? Can't really tell because it's so greasy. Reverse here. See if we can't find that. It's right there on this side, facing you guys. Clean out this nut some, get all the crap out from beneath the, in between the castle parts. And we can put our castle nut back on. Let me grab another cotter pin or cotter key and try to get that pushed in there. There we go. That went in nice and easy. I'm going to actually grab a bigger one. That one's a little small. How does that one fit? Pretty loose. That's better. We'll bend that over on top of itself, and that part is done. Now we just need to install our new power steering lines, and we're about done with this. Heck yeah! All right, I've got one of the lines on the back of the pump. I still need to replace the low pressure line, but I wanted to show you guys. Down here, inside this, you want to make sure that you get the old O-rings out. I'm not sure if there's still one in there or not. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, but down inside there's sometimes that O-ring will hang back there, so if you use a little pick tool, you can pull it out. I already pulled one out earlier, and we had it back there at the back of the truck. But yeah, we're ready to put those lines on. Let's see here. This one. Should go there. I put the O-ring on. I didn't. So right there at the end, I need to put an O-ring on that. So give me 1 second. Came with 2 new O-rings. I already put the one in the back of the pump. Put this one on here like so. It slips over it, and then this will go down inside the steering box. All right, so let's get that started. Alright, might need both hands for this. Alright, using a line wrench after I got that started, get this snugged up. I think that is a little bit bigger than what I have. But I need to put an O-ring on that one too. Come on out of there. We can go ahead and get this one started on the gearbox. Alright, get this one started too. Let's see if I can get it from inside the boot. No, I can't because I put the tire back on. There we go, I got it started. I have to find the right size wrench for that. I wish I had a right size line wrench. Because 11/16 is just not going on there. Watch that they switched it to metric, I bet. Because why not?
That's where the parts come from, China.
Not a 16. It's not a 17 either. Luckily I have an 18. See if that works. Yeah. Need to rotate this so it's kind of like that, where it's facing towards the inside of the engine. Alright, that one is snug. It is a pain in the butt to get to. Alright, that should be good. Don't need to be super tight. And then I can, I guess, cut this other one down, but I feel like I should probably just leave it. Can I just twist it like that? And then connect it like so, just to give us a little bit extra to have in the future if we need to cut it down. We can. Pull this little cap off that they gave us. Alright, I went ahead and cut that line down. It's just crazy long. So I cut it down just to give us a nice little loop here. And then we just need to replace our little hose clamp doodad here. Go down a little bit further. There we go. So our lines are good. I'm going to go down underneath there and just double check that bottom one. Make sure that bottom one on the back of the pump is nice and snug. I think it's about time we'll fill this pump back up and start airing this system out, getting all the air out of it, because it's going to take a good amount of fluid to get it all filled up. All right, fill this thing up. We were talking about this earlier. We remember power steering fluid being red. What happened to that? Is that not a thing anymore? We're gonna have to fire it up so we can start sucking some of this stuff down. Alright, I just topped it off again. But after this, we want to go through and slowly turn it. Try to get all the air out of the system. It's nice and buttery smooth turning left and right now, and I don't see any drips down below either. The lines look like they're good, no leaks, so we're just going to keep an eye on that, make sure no leaks appear. But I think we got this problem taken care of. Heck yeah. Well guys, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Twisted Wrench Garage. We got that leak taken care of on Rambo here, because it was bad. Thankfully, a friend of mine had a steering gearbox for me. I really appreciate it. If you're watching, thank you very much. Chai thanks you very much for that. So he's going to keep an eye on those lines, make sure no leaks appear. Keep an eye on the steering gearbox, make sure there's no leaks there appear. But other than that, now he can drive the truck and not have to worry about leaking power steering fluids everywhere. But like I said guys, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one.